So, good morning. Today is Friday the 15th. Is it? Yeah. On my Whole Foods delivery yesterday, they were out of my bag of lemons. Definitely coffee this morning. Full bowl. So yesterday I shared with you the linen sackette design that I was going to make, and I did. And to start, part of the detail in the sackette came from my wabi-sabi denim leather bag. So from this, I ended up doing the wabi-sabi detail on my veg tan leather pot holder, and then on some fabric, some dead stock denim, and then onto, because I'm out of leather, I've been experimenting more with textile, because normally I do leather bags, but I started with doing the tea towels in the sand, also did one in black, and interesting enough, they started out the same size, but they shrunk at different rates. Anyway, so yesterday I took that wabi-sabi idea, which wabi-sabi is a Japanese aesthetic, I think philosophy too. In short, beauty and imperfection and the impermanent. And it's basically what my line is. Basically, specialty dry goods is always wabi-sabi. So this is what came out, the little sketch that I showed you. The little wabi-sabi details. I don't know if you can see that. So the next thing I'm going to do is this goes in the washing machine. See how much it's going to shrink. And then of course the veg tan will darken because it's a natural hide. I mean, it's naturally, organically processed versus chemicals. So it's subject to whatever adventures you do in your life. You know, if you spill on it, it's going to stay. It's not going to wash off. But it builds this beautiful kind of caramel patina. Anyway, so after I wash it in cold water and then hang it to dry, air dry outside, this will darken, but it'll also wrinkle. It'll do whatever it's going to do, basically. But then as it dries, it becomes very stiff, almost rigid, but then it breaks down quickly. But it keeps that wrinkled texture in it, even as it softens. But I'm looking forward to it after it's washed and hung and dried. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna remove this. Oh, Mount Washington pottery. Thank you, Beth Katz. So I'm gonna measure. Glasses. So this measures out to basically 16 and a half. And basically it's almost square, 16.5 by 16.5. And the strap drop is about 5 3/4. Let's just see if that shrinks too. I don't think it does. No. Okay, oh, then, where's my camera? Oh, and here is the before and after. Oh, actually, this is before and this is after. A little prototype pot holder in veg tan leather. Doesn't it? It gets better. It gets better all stained and marked. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, this is part of whenever I make anything, a prototype or whatever, I always photograph it. Okay. Oh. Is that on the right side? And get some details in there. I think my neighbor upstairs is making a smoothie. The neighbor across the way was cutting trees early this morning, and then the planes were flying over from, I'm in Santa Monica, from Santa Monica Airport. Ah, memory card full. Okay, well, I got what I needed. So, I think, oh, I'll give you a detail shot. So this is the detail. This is something I started Specialty Dry Goods out with, to give you an adjustable shoulder strap, because my thing is I don't use hardware except for a metal button. So I create my own hardware, and when I do my attachments, I think about how the weight will transfer and where it'll transfer and where the stress points will be, and make sure that wherever I think the stress points will be, that it's supported, because since I don't use the hardware, but I do create my own leather hardware that I cut myself. Anyway, so here's the wabi sabi. On the wabi sabi denim leather bag, and then here's the wabi sabi detail on this. I'm actually kind of having fun with that. Okay, so the next phase would be, I've got to wash it. So this will be a two-part kind of a day. And what else was I going to say? I was going to say something else. Oh, and here's the other wabi sabi detail on that pot holder. Oh, where's my iPad? So what I've been listening to, I don't know if you guys listen to podcasts. Oh shoot, I don't know what happened to my iPad. Anyway, I've been listening to, on a KCRW produced podcast called Foxhole. KCRW is a Santa Monica radio station. It's actually down, well, it used to be down that way. It's now moved further on. They're no longer in Santa Monica College in the basement. Oh, here. So I've been listening, and I have to listen to it several times, because I don't know about you, but if it's not something I'm doing with my hands, my attention span is quite short. And it's pretty deep and really interesting to think about what they're talking about. These three, a physicist, a writer who used to be a monk, and a local artist, actually, Lita Albuquerque. They're talking about finding meaning in an impermanent world. I highly recommend.
The Elegant Universe, which was adapted into a program on PBS.
So I highly recommend listening to it. So podcast is on Foxhole, and it's called Finding Meaning in Impermanent World. And it was first released May 9th on KCRW. Listen to it, and if you're like me, I have to keep listening to it because there's so much to think about and absorb, and I get something new every time instead of a sound bite. Okay, we'll be back.